Pichuco, usted es colosal haciendo tango.
Y usted haciendo colorado.
Cada uno en lo suyo. Usted en la playa, yo en el paquete.
En cada colorado está la técnica de Philip Morris.
Una copa con Aníbal Troilo no es lujo que nos podemos dar todos los días. Nosotros tampoco. ¿Cómo está, maestro?
No me hable de copas porque tengo mala fama yo y mi señora se puede enojar conmigo. Muy bien esta vez, muy bien.
He was the lover of the Bandoneon, friendship, football, the national whiskey old smuggler, and his wife Sita, but above all, the tango. Known by his friends and tango enthusiasts simply as El Gordo, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the major bandoneon of Buenos Aires, the man who paved the way towards the modern tango, Aníbal, Pichuco, Troilo. Aníbal Troilo was born on the 11th of July of 1914 in the Abasto district of Buenos Aires. His father gave him the nickname Pichuco when he was a kid. The meaning of Pichuco could be a deformation from the Napolitan dialect Picciuso, that means crybaby. Pichuco's love for the bandoneon began at the age of 9 when he put on his knee one for the very first time at a summer concert in a park, taking this chance during the musician's break. From that moment on, his mother discovered him many times with a pillow over his knee pretending he was playing a bandoneon. After Aníbal's persistence with his mother to buy him a bandoneon, she finally gave in. So they went to a second-hand shop near their house and bought the instrument in 14 payment installments. She ended up only paying 4 because it's believed that the owner of the shop died and the shop closed down. Troilo played with that exact bandoneon almost his entire life. Aníbal took lessons from different teachers in the neighborhood, and in 1925, whilst only 11 years old, he debuted in a cinema called Petit Colón as part of an adult-only mixed-gender orchestra. He was so shy that he asked to play behind the curtains, but they opened them and he had no option other than to just keep playing. It was in 1930 that he started playing professionally with Elvino Bardaro, Osvaldo Pugliese, Alfredo Gobi and his admired bandoneon player Ciriaco Ortiz. Shortly after, he played for different orchestras like Julio de Caros, where he played together with other great bandoneon players such as Pedro Mafia and Pedro Laurens. Once a journalist told him that he was a great musician, and he replied that he was only a great tanguero. He was an enemy of virtuoso, just preserving the essential. Pichuco combined the intimate and taciturn sound of Mafia in his left hand and the more brilliant and vigorous sound of Laurens in his right. He picked his characteristic musical phrasing from Ciriaco Ortiz, which is also the musical phrasing of his body gestures contradicting that of the orchestra. It was very noticeable the way he used to move his head, close his eyes, and focus his sight on one point, as if creating a different language, a new way of sounding his bandoneon and the tango, sometimes moody and mumbling, and other times challenging and provocative. El Gordo wasn't the best bandoneonist, but his strength lay in his expression of the instrument, connecting what people needed to hear and feel by his playing just a few musical notes. He was the master of silence, dealing with something extremely difficult, such was the pause. That was the sign of a future conductor. The big change in the orchestra's style happened in the 60s with the introduction of the piano players Osvaldo Berlingieri and José Colangelo, and also by adding instruments like the viola and cello. In 1933, he worked on only the second Argentine sound-created film called Los Tres Berretines, and 1 year later he also composed his first tango called Medianoche. On the 1st of July 1937, the great debut of his orchestra took place in the Boîte El Marabou. Troilo's orchestra was considered not only to be the best dressed, full of vitality and smiles, but an orchestra of great interpretative qualities, certifying this at its first performance in the Mecca of Music, the Teatro Colón of Buenos Aires in 1964 and then in 1972. Troilo used to say that if he didn't have the bandoneon and such scratchy vocal cords, he would have been a singer. He was a big fan of the late Carlos Gardel.
Bueno, en mi orquesta yo toqué, toco y tocaré como cantaba Gardel.
He taught his singers how to sing tango, how to divide the phrases, and defended them like no one had. He'd say, when the singer goes up on stage, the orchestra follows the singer. Francisco Fiorentino was his singer in excellence, who shone with him in the 40s, but there were others, such as Alberto Marino, Florian Ruiz, Nelly Vázquez, Roberto Goyeneche, and Edmundo Rivero. He was very generous with his singers and musicians in general, giving them the freedom to play the way they felt.
Y el viento toca la flauta en las cañas de Tacuara.
El Gordo had a great talent for composing. Through this process, he partnered poets of the caliber of Homero Manzi, Cátulo Castillo, and José María Contursi, where the barrio was described in many recurring themes. In this regard, I can mention few compositions like Barrio de Tango, Romance de Barrio, and Sur.
Paredón y después una luz de almacén. Ya nunca me verás como me vieras, recostado en la vidriera, esperándote.
When Homero Manzi, someone who Troilo showed devotion to, and were the closest friends, was agonizing in hospital, they composed Discepolin via phone, dedicating it to their beloved friend in common, already dead, Enrique Santos Discepolo. When Manzi finally died, Troilo composed Responso to pay tribute to him, but he didn't like playing it because it would make him sad. It was Cátulo Castillo whom, in some way, took the place of Manzi, and it was with him whom Troilo composed La Última Curda and María, and also performed in the musical play El Patio de la Morocha, written also by the poet in question. That play also triggered the creation in 1954 of the Troilos Grelas Quartet. That was destined to be from the lack of work after the defeat of Perón in 1955 and the invasion of rock and roll. Troilo had two different options to offer. In one hand, he preserved the big orchestra, and in the other hand, he had the quartet format, which was made of 2 guitars, double bass, and bandoneon. The success of the 40s orchestras lay in how danceable they were, so they had to play for the dancers. And for that, Troilo relied on Orlando Goñi, who is believed to be one of the founders of modern tango, playing in a piano conductor role and still with Fiorentino on vocals. Troilo wasn't in charge of writing the musical arrangements. The musicians who played with him said that he wrote with an eraser. Astor Piazzolla, who was his second bandoneon, used to say that he would arrange in collaboration with Troilo because he would write and Troilo the lead. What happened was that Astor introduced more complex arrangements, and Pichuco would tell him to simplify them, otherwise people wouldn't dance. He was a big supporter of river play, where he used to bring his bandoneon and play to entertain the players who had to cocoon leading up to their matches. He had to stop going to the stadium to see his team playing because his popularity was so big that it wouldn't allow him to live a normal life. Troilo was a great character, playing just the role of Troilo, and everyone wanted to be that character full of talent and kindness.
Mi barrio era así, así, así. Es decir, qué sé yo si era así, pero yo me lo acuerdo así, con Jacumín el carbuña de la esquina, que tenía las hornallas llenas de hollín, y que jugó siempre de jaz izquierdo al lado mío, siempre, siempre. Tal vez va a estar más cerca de mi corazón. Alguien dijo una vez que yo me fui de mi barrio. ¿Cuándo? ¿Pero cuándo? Si siempre estoy llegando. Y si una vez me olvidé las estrellas de la esquina de la casa de mi vieja, y tirando como si fueran manos amigas, me dijeron: gordo, quédate aquí, quédate aquí.
Troilo lived his life on the edge, flirting with the excess of the bohemian lifestyle, either food, drink, tobacco, or whatever. Despite the fact that Zita, the love of his life, looked after him like no other, the major bandoneon of Buenos Aires, the tender, affectionate, and sensitive Gordo abandoned us on the 14th of May of 1975 at the early age of 60. But not without leaving us not only his masterpieces, his gentleness, friendship, values and principles, but the illusion that every 11th of July he's born again. Since 2005, we've officially celebrated our National Bandoneons Day. Thank you for watching the video. Leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share it, give me a like, and I see you in the next video.